Hello, my dear little friends. We are now at the calmest, most magical moment of the night. If you look out your bedroom window, the twinkling stars you see are actually winking just for you. And right now, floating gracefully among those stars, above the clouds, are two little friends. One is a young sleep fairy with silky wings adorned with pearls. Her name is Lila. The other is a cute little firefly with a huge heart packed into his tiny body, shining light all around. His name is Ptr. Tonight, they have a very important mission. Hanging on Lila's back is a small silk bag filled with the most precious treasure, dream seeds. They must take these seeds to one of the most mysterious and beautiful places in the world, the Dream Garden, and plant them in the magical soil. The flowers there feed on these seeds to produce beautiful dreams for all the children in the world. Ptr was hopping about joyfully, shouting excitedly, "Lila, look! That cloud looks like cotton candy." Lila smiled back at him, saying, "Yes Ptr, but let's finish our work first, then we can play on the clouds." Finally, they arrived at the shimmering entrance gate of the Dream Garden. But the moment they stepped inside, the smiles vanished from their faces. The inside was not what they had expected. The garden was shrouded in what seemed like an autumn sadness. The air held the sorrow of wilted roses. The colors of the flowers had faded, their leaves were crumpled, their heads bowed to the ground. It was as if all the joy in the garden had evaporated instantly. Even Ptr's light flickered out for a moment before reigniting with worry. "Lila," he said, his voice trembling, "what happened here? The flowers are barely glowing. Will they be able to produce dreams?" Lila touched a water lily with concern. The flower swayed lifelessly. Her heart filled with pain. "Something is very wrong, Ptr," she whispered. "Without the dream flowers, not a single child will have a beautiful dream tonight. We must break this silence, we must revive the garden." As the two little friends stood helplessly in the middle of the garden, they were startled by a soft flapping sound coming from right behind them. Turning around, they saw a wise, old butterfly with wings the color of the darkest night sky, embroidered with silver stars. This was Mavis, one of the oldest inhabitants of the garden. Seeing the sad expressions on Lila and Ptr's faces, Mavis took a deep, sorrowful breath. "Yes, dear children," she began, her voice as soft as the rustle of leaves dancing in the wind. "As you can see, our dear dream garden is in great trouble. The core energy that gives it life, that nourishes it from its roots, has mysteriously diminished lately. Our flowers are no longer strong enough. They cannot gather the magic needed to produce dreams." Tears welled up in Lila's eyes. She wanted to hug Mavis immediately. "But Mavis, what will we do without these flowers? Please tell us a solution. We will face any difficulty to save them." Mavis, seeing their determination, continued with a small, wise smile, "There is only one way to heal them, yes. But this path is quite arduous. In the most secluded, mysterious corner of Moonbeam Valley, there is a waterfall gushing from between the rocks, flowing with a magical water called Starlight Nectar. Just a single drop of that nectar has the power to give life back to our entire garden." However, the wrinkles on Mavis's forehead deepened. Her tone became more serious. "But I must warn you," she said. The path to that valley passes through a dark forest covered with thick, thorny trees. The road is long, tiring, and can be frightening for some. You must listen to the voice of your heart to avoid getting lost. Hold on tightly to each other and never, ever give up. After listening carefully to Mavis's words, Lila and Ptr set off without delay. At first, the moon's silvery light guided them, covering everything in a romantic glow. But as they approached the forest, the shadows of the trees lengthened, and the branches turned into giant claws closing in on them. The moment they stepped into the forest, a thick, velvety darkness enveloped them. Ptr's tiny light could only show a step or two ahead in this pitch blackness. Tree roots seemed to set traps on their path, and unknown, eerie sounds from the distance made their hearts leap into their mouths. Ptr, moving closer to Lila, whispered anxiously, "Lila, will this darkness never end? I'm doing my best to keep my light from going out, but in such darkness, my energy might run out." Just then, they heard a sudden, loud rustle from a bush right beside them. Ptr was so frightened that he instinctively turned off his light completely, and pitch darkness fell around them. In the darkness, they saw a large silhouette of a shadow moving in a slithering motion, adorned with greenish, phosphorescent, complex patterns. Lila's hand trembled with excitement, and the precious dream pouch she was carrying fell to the ground, scattering the last of the dream seeds. And at that very moment, from the deepest part of the darkness, a thin, timid voice full of loneliness rose, "Please, don't disturb me. I was just spending time alone. I heard your voice. I was curious. Who are you?" Lila immediately felt that this voice wasn't scary, but rather carried a deep loneliness and shyness. Pushing the fear in her heart aside, she took a few brave steps towards the source of the voice. "Hello," she called out, in the warmest and friendliest tone she could manage. "We didn't mean to scare you. We're just lost and need help." Ptr was still trembling, but seeing Lila's calm courage, he slowly, fearfully, turned his light back on. Illuminated by the light was a large, plump, very cute caterpillar. On its back were patterns that glowed with a soft green and blue light in the dark, intricately crafted like a work of art. This was Karabu. Karabu looked at them with large, innocent, and somewhat fearful eyes, and somewhat shyly, told the pain in his heart, "My name is Karabu. I was born and raised in this forest. But, the other insects, butterflies, are usually scared of my appearance, especially this glow of mine at night. No one wants to play, talk, or even come near me. So I often sit alone under the leaves, listening to the laughter of others." Lila's heart ached upon hearing these words. Ptr, blushing with embarrassment for misunderstanding, said, "We're sorry, Karabu. We misjudged you. We shouldn't have judged by appearances, that was very wrong." Lila approached, smiling sincerely. "Look, Karabu," she said. "Your glowing patterns in the dark are actually incredibly beautiful. Maybe you are exactly the person we need, the one who can guide us in this darkness. Can you take us to Moonbeam Valley? We've lost our way." Karabu's eyes lit up at these kind and accepting words. Hope blossomed in his heart. "Really? Can I really help you?" he asked joyfully. "Yes. Finding my way in the dark is what I do best. Come on, let me show you the safe path. I'm not alone anymore." Now the duo had become three brave hearts. Their journey was filled more with a sense of solidarity and discovery than fear. Karabu led the way, his patterns glowing like a lantern in the dark, choosing the safest path. Ptr flew right beside him, his light illuminating obstacles and thorny branches, and Lila followed behind, keeping watch for dangers around them. Thanks to Karabu's wise guidance, they advanced through the forest without getting lost, taking shortcuts, and finally reached Moonbeam Valley. From the mouth of a cave at the end of the valley seeped a fascinating, hypnotic silvery blue light. When they entered, they encountered one of the most magnificent sights they had ever seen. From the ceiling of the cave, a liquid that sparkled brilliantly, as if made of molten stars and moonlight, flowed down like a majestic waterfall. This was the starlight nectar. However, the source of the waterfall seemed inaccessible, very high up. As Lila wondered, "It's wonderful. But how will we reach it?" Karabu immediately suggested a solution: "I can climb. Climbing rocks is child's play for me." Ptr jumped in, "And I'll keep my light pointed right where you're climbing, without it going out. I'll light your climb." Lila added, "And I'll use my wings to fly beside you, catch you if you fall, and I'll bring a leaf to collect the nectar." And a wonderful collaboration began. Karabu climbed up, gripping the rocks tightly, determined. Ptr, sweating, guided him with his unwavering light. And Lila, flapping her wings, flew beside Karabu, encouraging him, and prepared to collect the nectar with a water lily leaf she held out. Finally, Karabu managed to catch a drop of the nectar from the waterfall into the leaf. That tiny drop shone as brightly as a star, like a treasure full of hope. They had succeeded. They shouted with joy. They rushed back to the dream garden, as fast as they could. With hands trembling with excitement, Lila gently sprinkled that precious drop of starlight nectar towards the roots of the wilted flowers. The moment the drop touched the soil, an incredible miracle occurred. From the ground, a wave of golden, pure, and warm light began to rise. This wave of light spread throughout the entire garden at a magical speed, like the ripples from a raindrop falling on water. Whichever flower the light touched instantly came back to life. Its petals regained their former beauty and brilliance, their colors becoming more vibrant and dazzling than before. The garden filled again with lush green leaves and colorful flowers, and fragrant scents filled the air. Just then, the wise Mavis and all the other insects, butterflies, and ladybugs from the garden arrived. Mavis said with a proud smile, "You see, the real magic wasn't in this nectar. The real magic was in your hearts. You succeeded because you gave a chance to a friend who was different, because you trusted each other, persevered in the face of difficulties, and worked together. That is the true miracle." Karabu was no longer alone. Everyone had seen how brave, smart, and helpful he was. Lila, Ptr, and Karabu all gathered the brand new, fragrant, colorful dreams together. And now, dear children, Lila is gently blowing those beautiful dreams towards the stars. You close your eyes too. Those dreams are now slowly covering you like a warm blanket. Let your hearts warm. Because this story showed us that friendship is the greatest strength, that our differences make us special, and that each of us has a light inside that can illuminate even the darkest nights. Now take a deep breath, with this warmth in your heart, and set sail for the world of sweet dreams. Good night. Good night, dear little explorers. Good night.